We're going to move on to our next topic, talk a little Cavs, brought to us by a Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of them yet, meet your favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it easy to find one near you. Can't get to a branch? No problem. They make banking simple with digital banking. What sets them apart? Well, Buckeye State Credit Union makes banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. The core values: connect, simplify, and adapt guide everything they do, bringing people together, cutting through the clutter, and they're innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified.
Did you see this tweet that Steve just sent us?
Yeah,
it's worth a read.
The Texans.
Roberto Shenanigans tweets out a list of current Houston Texans, courtesy of Andrew Berry. Nick Chubb, Will Anderson, Tank Dell, Damian Pierce, Kenyon Green, Cade Stover, MJ Stewart, Kamari Lassiter, Jamal Hill. Wow.
That's tough.
Meantime, PFF has us ranked 32nd, and the Texans are ranked top 10, I would say.
I don't
remember, but, I mean, I would have them in my top 10.
All right, let's talk a little Cavs, guys. It is the worst kept secret in the NBA that Kevin Durant is going to get traded, most likely before the NBA draft. Sometime in the next 2 weeks is what most people assume will happen. There are a few teams that are the favorites to land Durant: the Rockets, the Spurs, the Heat, the Timberwolves, the Knicks. They're all 5 that we know for sure are in the mix. And I saw a couple reports yesterday saying at least the Cavs have checked in on Kevin Durant. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points was the one that first mentioned it. Jake Fisher then confirmed that he had heard the Cavs have at least reached out. Now, because both teams are second-apron teams, finding a deal between the Suns and the Cavs for Durant, just to at least talk about, is incredibly difficult because Durant makes more money than any individual player on the Cavs, and because both teams are second-apron teams, the salaries have to match to the penny. Neither team can take back a single penny more, and you can't aggregate salaries, so you have to look at 3-team deals. So I came up with 2 possible 3-team deals that would work from both a financial standpoint and make some sense for all 3 teams involved. And then I'm going to send this out to you guys. Let me know if either of these deals would get you excited and if Kevin Durant would solve some of the Cavs' biggest issues. But the first 3-team deal I whipped up involved the Cavs, the Suns, and the Nets. In this deal, the Cavs would get Kevin Durant. The Suns would get Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and Isaac Okoro. And to help facilitate the cap part of this, the Cavs would dump Strus, Craig Porter Jr., and some future second-round picks to the Nets. The Nets are one of 3 teams that do have cap space to absorb some extra salaries. They're looking to rebuild, so maybe those picks would be valuable to them. But essentially, you're giving up 5 players and picks for Kevin Durant in this scenario. In the second trade scenario, it involves the Kings as the 3rd team. We mentioned earlier in the week the Kings had interest in Darius Garland. So this one would give you Durant and Jonas Valanciunas, so a forward and a big. The Suns would get Jared Allen, Keegan Murray, and Malik Monk. And the Kings in this scenario would get Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, and Dean Wade. So you're turning Durant and Valanciunas, or you're turning, Garland, Okoro, Wade, and Jared Allen into Durant and Valanciunas. Both of these deals work under the second apron of the cap for all 3 teams. I double-checked with my cap guy. So, guys, Earl,
yes.
I see you jumping at the bit.
Yes.
Would you do these deals, and does Durant solve the Cavs' biggest issues?
Me and Jay on the same page
I would
today.
do that deal.
I'm doing that deal with the Kings in a heartbeat. Well, for a couple reasons. One, young teams in the NBA don't win championships. Veteran teams do. Valanciunas, wasn't he on the Toronto Raptors team that won the championship?
I think he was.
All right, so he has championship experience. Kevin Durant is a walking bucket. Even at almost 37 years old, he's a former MVP. He's a scoring champion. I understand he didn't have an Achilles injury in the past. That don't matter. That's the past. Me and him the same age, and I'm pretty sure he's in better shape than I am. When we got to the playoffs, a lot of that has been said about the Cleveland Cavaliers on the defensive side of the ball, but at the end of the day, we couldn't score points when we needed to score points. Mike got the exact numbers, but I do know our efficiency rating on offense dropped tremendously from the regular season to the playoffs. It dropped horrifically from the first round to the second round. So with that being the case and knowing that you struggle to score, any deal that brings me Kevin Durant and I can hold on to Evan Mobley and I get to keep DeAndre Hunter and that second deal, I'm with it. Because as much as we keep screaming core 4, to me the Cavs core is Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell, and that's what you should be building around. So yeah, if I can add Kevin Durant to this roster, hell yeah, run it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Sacramento deal looks great for Cleveland. The issue is 2 issues. One, I don't know if Kevin Durant wants to be here or not. He already vetoed a deal, said he didn't want to go back to Golden State. So maybe he looks at
Aren't
this
we closer to winning, though?
Yeah, and maybe he looks at this as I'm toward the end of my career. They've got a legitimate
We know
chance.
how much he loves to
Can win a
chase
championship.
rings.
Yeah, can win a championship. The other issue is I don't think Matt Ishbia has any interest in helping Dan Gilbert win a championship.
Yeah, that's my.
However, real quick, on that, they did just hire 2 Cavs assistants. Jordan Ott is now the head coach in Phoenix. He took DeMari Carroll with them from Cleveland's bench.
Right.
Yeah,
to
and you know what
Phoenix.
that might have
Jason said
been?
that don't mean a
That
damn
might-
thing.
I'm not.
I'm just saying
pissing on
there's now a
those
pathway
guys.
that the 2
But that
staffs
might have
can
been
talk.
another FU to Dan.
I'm going to weaken your
Yeah.
staff.
That's
And,
exactly-
and you can't really stop that because it's a promotion.
Right.
So
Can't stop it.
I don't see any world. And plus, I think Phoenix can do better from a talent standpoint in a return for Kevin. If you're the Cavs, yeah, you probably look at that
I agree with
pretty
that sentiment, by the
strongly.
way.
But I think Phoenix can do better when you add on top of that the personal feud between Ishbia and Dan. I don't see any world where Matt Ishbia says, let's help Dan Gilbert win a championship. That's not happening.
So poaching 2 of the Cavs coaches was like Tupac dropping Hit 'Em Up during the Biggie and Pac beef,
Yes.
right? Because that's how much these men hate each other. So,
I mean,
Well,
it's-
I've heard the H word used when talking about those
it
two.
is
So,
very personal.
They hate each other.
Like
They've publicly said they hate each other.
yeah, I
fam-
mean,
like-
why are you going to help? Especially if you're Phoenix, this isn't going to help you win a title.
no, not at all.
like the wives and families have been involved. That's how.
Yeah.
This is not playful. This is real. I don't see any way that. I mean, it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, so Jason, let's have fun. We understand you don't think it'll ever happen, but in a hypothetical world where Ishbia and Dan Gilbert agreed to this kind of deal,
Damn.
does Durant
Cartels.
solve the Cavs'
wives and
playoff
families
issue?
are involved. The NBA cartels. Yeah.
Jason, does Durant solve what you view as the Cavs' biggest playoff issues?
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, because I've said it before. Yeah, he's 36, but I don't think you can look at age necessarily with the Cavs window. You have to look at 2 years. You've got 2 years to win a championship, and if that means parting with a younger player to obtain an older player, I think you still have to strongly look at that, because I don't know that you can worry about roster building 4 or 5 years out from now anymore in the NBA. It's about for where this team is positioned and where their window is at. It's right now. And you've got 2 more postseasons to do this before you have to
He
really
looks
start
really old
dismantling it. I mean, he ain't young.
That picture, he looked really old in that one.
He ain't young, but
He
is
ain't old either.
Is he the same player he was 10 years ago? No, probably not. But he's pretty doggone good.
Look at those stats on the left.
I
That
know
was
the
this
stats
season.
are mind.
Yeah.
They're
He
jaw
is
dropping.
still a walking bucket and a lethal assassin from
Yeah.
all 3
Yeah,
levels offensively.
look,
And you would have to assume that after all these years in the NBA, the IQ, the basketball IQ is much, much higher than it was when he was in his prime athletically.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
like when guys kind of lose it from the athletic standpoint and you're as good as Kevin Durant and you're still learning the game from an IQ standpoint, I think it makes you more lethal the older that you get.
Does he solve their issues? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he solves a lot of them.
For
The one
sure.
thing that I don't know about is I still think this team needs to get markedly tougher. They need an attitude. They need a dog. And
I think he helps in that department as well.
I think he helps in that department, but just by saying he's tougher than all the Cavs, that's not.
Well, you would
an
get
endorsement.
Valanciunas too, though.
Yeah, no, he'll help.
So-
He'll help. But I just think, gosh, after watching even in the finals, man, these teams get after it. They get after it, and unfortunately, I just didn't see that in the Cavs. And any trade that they make this offseason, I think, has to make them tougher, and it has to bring a level of fear that the opponent looks at them and says, "Oh, we got to watch out for this guy," because we don't have that guy right now.
If you talk about, we've talked about the NBA's trying to abolish the Big Three, but Donovan, Evan, and Kevin Durant on the same team,
Oh my God.
that's pretty. And it's not like you don't have anything. It's not like
You still got other pieces.
When Miami assembled the big three,
Right.
and they had nothing else
So
around
there's
them.
a lot of
There's still some
accoutrement. I mean,
there's
they
still
could
some
really.
firepower.
Gosh,
They would be hard if they made that deal. It is worth mentioning. They'd be hard capped at the second apron, which means they couldn't spend more. So a lot of the rest of the roster would have to be vet minimum guys. But
Sure.
the truth is,
So
that's what they're searching for right now anyway, because
Right.
they're in the second apron. So they would lose some guys. They have to fill those spots with veteran minimum guys. But it's not like they were out big fish hunting, and now they have to go shop in the bargain.
put a percentage chance, Mike, on that deal happening.
Because of
I
what
have it
Jason
at
said,
1%.
0.002.
Oh, okay. I have it at 1%.
I mean, 1%, fine. Like,
Yeah.
but no, very, very unlikely. To Jason's point, if Phoenix wants to get picks for Durant, because they're in a second apron hell.
I know.
They're getting close to the repeat offender 3-year, which is the absolute no-no you cannot do in the second apron. And that's why this year getting rid of Durant brings them back.
We
under
know
the
he's
luxury
gone.
tax.
That's 100%.
Yeah. So it depends on what they want. If they want to still try and compete right now, because they do have Devin Booker in his prime.
Yeah.
And they have said we want to build around Booker.
Sure, that's
if
the smart
Booker's
play.
okay with going a year or two, we'll stink, then we'll get back up.
Yeah.
They definitely can go with different paths. But if they're trying to build a roster around Booker for the present, adding guys like Jared Allen, they don't have a center whatsoever.
Right.
Would be a great upgrade to playoff.
Right.
With Devin Booker. A DeAndre Hunter would fit very well next to a Devin Booker. They have Bradley Beal and that whole issue. He's not waiving his no trade clause.
Right.
But the Cavs could give them some ready-made pieces to put alongside of Devin Booker to avoid a complete rebuild, which is why I think these deals do kind of make sense in a vacuum. But then you add the Ishbia Gilbert factor into it. And I'm like, it's
Probably
just kind of
not.
a fun hypothetical.
Wouldn't you love to hear that phone call?
But it is a damn fun
None
hypothetical.
of the
Bleep,
GMs
bleep,
do the talking,
bleep,
but
you got me bleep.
I'd love to put the two of them in. That's a reality show.
Man.
My goodness. The NBA cartels.
Dan has softened a bit in recent years.
Yeah, when he spoke at the Cleveland Sports Award, my takeaway from that, I think you were there that night or you saw it. My biggest takeaway was he's lost. No, I don't want to say he's lost his edge. Your board's perfect.
He's
softened a little bit on
Life
everything.
happens, right? Life happens. He
Yeah.
went through his own health scare. He lost
Sure.
his son, and you just get older, right? And sometimes your perspective on things change. But we've definitely seen Dan Gilbert turn into a different guy as an owner, and it's probably for the better, to be totally honest with
Yeah.
you. You know, when you become more softer, more gentle in your older age, it's a sign you see life differently. That's all.
For sure.
The one way he was always described, and there's a lot of people that worked in that building that did not like him, like a lot.
Yeah.
But he had enormous,
Onions.
yes,
Yep.
to push the franchise forward at certain times. He was the
And you need that.
He absolutely. He was the jet fuel that propelled them, and he drove me crazy with a lot of the things that he did at times. But he was the jet fuel that propelled that organization forward, and at times that had been lacking while he had been away and recovering from the stroke.
Right. I'm never
So-
going to kill a guy for an overactive desire to win. That to me, like I know Steinbrenner was one of those guys.
We
I think
do it
Jerry
with Jimmy.
Jones is one of those guys.
We do it with Jimmy.
Jimmy has it. Listen, I think
Like,
Jimmy
Jimmy
has
means
that.
well.
Jimmy wants to win.
Yeah, he means
desperately,
well.
and he has the money. He doesn't know how.
Yeah, he
And
means
hasn't-
well.
And he hasn't figured out that his input isn't a good thing. He hasn't figured that out yet. Now, Dan, I think, did. And I hope Jimmy Haslam wakes up one day and says, I'm not going to the office today. Or I'm not going to call Andrew Barry and see what I can screw up today. I'm going to just write checks and make sure we have the right guys to run this thing. And then get out of the way. Owners don't win championships. They pay for them. But it's got to come from other people in the organization.
This is a whole